The PMP exam frequently tests you on distinguishing a temporary project from an ongoing operation. Many candidates read the definition in the chapter, feel confident, and then choose the wrong answer on situational questions because the boundary line blurs in real life. I discovered this boundary the hard way when I tried to close out a system update that had slowly transformed into standard operational user support. PM Panda here, PMP certified since 2003 with 2.5 decades in delivery, and the trap we are covering is one I have watched derail good managers and candidates alike. Misunderstanding where a temporary delivery ends and continuous maintenance begins causes severe real-world funding problems. In my own experience on a software integration, our team kept pulling from a fixed capital budget to handle day-to-day user queries long after deployment finished. That mistake drained $500,000 of capital that was meant for corporate growth because we failed to hand over the system cleanly. Context: operational handover failure. When you treat a continuous business operation like a temporary project, your fixed delivery funding will dry up while the work remains completely unfinished. According to the foundational principles of project management, a project is defined as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. This means every project must have a definite beginning and a clear end date. In plain English, it is a one-time effort designed to introduce change. Operations, on the other hand, consist of ongoing, repetitive work designed to sustain the business over time without a planned conclusion. Context: system launch versus maintenance. The output of a project is the unique change delivered, which must then be transitioned over to the operational team for daily execution. Before we break down the financial impact of this distinction, take a brief look at your own daily task list. It helps to consider whether your current tasks create a unique deliverable or simply keep the existing department running. The next section covers the specific timeline and resource calculations the PMP exam uses to verify that you can separate temporary project lifecycle costs from recurring corporate operational expenses. Let us examine a typical scenario you might encounter on the exam involving a major technology infrastructure upgrade. A firm allocates a fixed budget of $500,000 to deploy a new diagnostic server system over a strict 6-month timeline. Once the deployment phase concludes, the server transitions to a 5-year cycle of routine software maintenance and daily monitoring. We need to evaluate the distinct components of this timeline to correctly classify the project phase versus the operational phase. To calculate the project duration versus the operational lifespan, we separate the unique deployment from the recurring maintenance cycles. The project component equals one single system launch over a fixed 6-month deployment timeline. The operational component equals 12 monthly maintenance cycles per year across a 5-year sustenance window, resulting in 60 recurring maintenance cycles. One project deployment equals 6 months. 5 years of maintenance equals 60 operational cycles. Answer: B. The initial 6 months constitute a temporary project, while the subsequent 60 cycles are ongoing operations. The most common error I observe in exam preparation is assuming routine customer support or weekly data processing constitutes a project simply because the team uses weekly targets. Early in my career, I made the mistake of classifying a monthly reporting cycle as a project because it required cross-functional inputs. A project requires both a temporary time frame and a completely unique output. If the activity repeats indefinitely to maintain standard business-as-usual functions, it is an operation regardless of how agile your team members are. To avoid this trap on your exam and in your daily delivery work, I use a specific 2-part validation process before initiating any activity. First, I verify the test of temporariness by documenting a definitive end date in the project charter. Second, I apply the test of uniqueness by verifying that the final output is not a repetitive cycle already managed by business operations. Establishing these boundaries early ensures that project closure criteria are explicitly linked to an operational handover plan rather than an infinite delivery cycle. The PMP exam specifically uses situational questions to test your understanding of the transition point from project closure to operational handover. The exam questions will often try to tempt you by describing a project manager who stays attached to a deliverable to fix minor operational bugs indefinitely. While a practitioner might instinctively want to stay and help the client, the exam expects you to close the project once the unique deliverable meets the acceptance criteria. You must recognize that ongoing support is a separate operational function. Question 1. A healthcare administrator is tasked with processing daily patient triage data. Which classification best describes this work? A. Unique project. B. Ongoing operation. C. Temporary endeavor. D. Strategic initiative. Correct answer, B. Operations sustain the business and are repetitive. Common trap. C is tempting because daily shifts feel short, but the ongoing process has no defined final end date. Question 2. A tech firm allocates $500,000 to deploy a new diagnostic server over 6 months, after which it requires daily maintenance. The deployment phase is classified as A, an operation, B, a project, C, routine support, D, sustained activity. Correct answer, B. It is temporary and creates a unique output. Common trap. A is a common error because candidates mix up the implementation phase with the long-term maintenance lifecycle. Question 3. A retail manager is asked to handle the monthly payroll for 100 employees. What key characteristic prevents this from being a project? A. It lacks a defined budget. B. It requires cross-functional teams. C. It is repetitive and ongoing. D. It creates unique change. Correct answer, C. Operations have an indefinite endpoint and repetitive outputs. Common trap. D is tempting because the data changes, but the operational process itself repeats identically every single month. To master these foundational principles, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss our weekly breakdowns. I highly recommend opening your project charter template today and reviewing the project boundaries to ensure your current assignment has a clearly defined operational handover point.